The last section in this unit still deals with quadratics. The whole unit's been quadratics, but this is going to be specifically about quadratic inequalities. So instead of an equal sign, we're going to have a less than or greater than symbol. So let's start with this problem. X squared plus 2x minus 8 is less than or equal to 0. So we're basically going to solve this the same as if it was an equal sign. But when it was an equal sign, we came up with two solutions. We came up with the two numbers that made this thing equal 0. But now we're looking for the numbers that make this thing smaller than or equal to 0. So we're not just going to have one solution. We're going to have a lot of solutions. So the first thing I want to do is factor. This one factors to x plus 4 and x minus 2. After we've factored these numbers that we would solve for x equals negative 4 and x equals 2, are going to tell us our critical values, our test points. So if I graph this on a number line, I want to choose a critical value of negative 4 and a critical value of 2. These tell me where I'm going to test my points at. So I'm going to test something over here like negative 5. I'm going to test something between negative 4 and 2. I'm going to test the number 0. And I'm going to test the number bigger than 2. I'm going to test 3. I just have to pick something in that category. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to put each of these numbers in for x. So I'm going to start with this one. If I put negative 5 in for x, negative 5 plus 4 is going to give me a negative answer. Negative 5 minus 2 is going to give me a negative answer. And when you take a negative times a negative, you get a positive. But look what I was trying to get. I wanted to get something that was less than or equal to 0. So that tells me that this part is false. The numbers in that region do not work. Let's try the number 0. So if I have 0 plus 4 and 0 minus 2, 0 plus 4 is a positive, 0 minus 2 is a negative. A positive times a negative equals a negative. I'm looking for numbers that are negative because I'm looking for the ones that are smaller than 0. So this part is true. Let's try 3. 3 plus 4 and 3 minus 2. 3 plus 4 gives us a positive. 3 minus 2 gives us a positive. A positive times a positive is a positive. I don't want a positive number. I want something that's smaller than 0. So this area is false. So all the values that work are the ones that are between negative 4 and 2. And since this has a line under it, I'm going to have a closed circle. So I could say that my answer is negative 4 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2. And in honors, we've already talked about interval notation, so I would write it like this, negative 4 to 2. Okay, here's another example. Let's try this one. 2x squared plus 13x plus 1 less than or equal to 2x minus 4. So before I can even solve this one, I have to put it in the correct order. So I'm going to move the 2x over here and the 4. So I'm going to minus 2x from both sides, and I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So over here, I have less than or equal to 0. On the other side, I have 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. So now I want to factor it to try to find my critical values. This factors to 2x and x. And I believe this should be 1 and 5, and I think they both need to be positive. So I'm going to have a critical value at negative 1/2, and I'm going to have a critical value at negative 5. So I'm going to put that on my line here. Negative 5 is here, negative 1/2 is here, and then I'm going to try values in each spot. I'm going to try something smaller than negative 5. I'm going to try negative 6. In this area, I'm going to try negative 3, and over here, I'm going to try 0. And I'm looking for the places where this is negative, smaller. So if I put negative 6 in, 2 times negative 6 plus 1, and the other one is negative 6 plus 5. So this is negative 12 plus 1, that's going to be negative, and this is going to be negative. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so this area is false. I'm going to try negative 3. So 2 times negative 3 plus 1, remember I'm putting them in here. And then the other one is negative 3 plus 5. So this is negative 6 plus 1, which is negative 5, so that's negative. This is positive, and a negative times a positive is a negative. This part's true. If I test this, I'm going to find that it is false. What you should see is that every other one is true. So this is going to be shaded. Since there's a line under, this one's actually going to have a closed circle. If it didn't have a line under it, it would be an open circle. And so the way I would write this is negative 5 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to negative 1/2. If the question asks for interval notation, we would say it goes from negative 5 to negative 1/2 bracket. Let's do one more, and this time let's do a greater than problem. Since we did 2 less than problems, let's try this one. X squared plus x minus 20 is greater than 0. So I'm going to factor it to find my critical values. This factors to x plus 5 and x minus 4. So I'm going to have a critical value at negative 5 and positive 4. So I'm going to try numbers like negative 6. I'll try 0 here, and then I'm going to try 5. So I'm going to go back and put them in here. Negative 6. Negative 6 plus 5 is a negative. Negative 6 minus 4 is a negative. A negative times a negative is a positive. This time I'm actually looking for positive because I'm looking for something bigger than 0. So this part is true. So I'm expecting this should be false. Let's see. 0 plus 5, positive. 0 minus 4, negative. A positive times a negative is a negative. This is false because I'm looking for positives. And if I tried 5, I would find that that would be true. Since there's no line underneath here, I'm going to have an open circle. And all of these worked, and all of these work. So here's how I would write that. X is smaller than negative 5, or x is bigger than 4. If we wrote this in interval notation, I would write parenthesis, negative infinity to negative 5 parenthesis, 4 to infinity parenthesis. But I believe you can type your answer in just like that.